Hello, I'm Nicholas Henshall, I'm the Dean of Chelmsford, and I want to say something about Thy Kingdom Come. Now, Thy Kingdom have come is, of course, a line from the Lord's Prayer, which we say in this building at least 3 times a day. But Thy Kingdom Come in the last few years has grown from a project of the Archbishop to a worldwide movement of prayer. Prayer seeking to touch others for Christ, to transform the world, and invite others to see in Jesus Christ an answer to their longing. So what are we doing for Thy Kingdom Come? Well, the dates first of all. It starts on Ascension Day and it finishes on Pentecost. 10 days of prayer. 10 days of prayer. And at the heart of that, we simply invite people to do prayer. To pray together or alone. To pray for the coming of God's kingdom. Thy Kingdom Come. The coming of God's kingdom in our lives, for those whom we love, and for the world we inhabit. Remember, the scope of God's love is the whole inhabited earth. And that's what we pray when we pray, Thy Kingdom Come on earth as it is in heaven. And that's the promise of God, which we find particularly in John's Gospel as we enter into the fullness of life, which God promises to all people. Events this year are different, partly because of coronavirus and the fact we can't gather in a normal way, partly because our new Bishop Gully is arriving at the moment in her ministry in the diocese, but in a very gentle way. Her public ministry will be celebrated later on in the year, and she'll very much be visible on all the networks. But we're going to use Thy Kingdom Come from Ascension Day to Pentecost as a very different kind of introduction, an introduction in prayer. So on Ascension Day, Gully will be praying in the cathedral, and on Pentecost, she and I will be walking from Pleshy, the retreat house there, to the cathedral, again, to pray in the cathedral. Those will be very gentle events, and although there will be public worship as part of that, Gully herself will be simply present as our praying bishop, present among us in prayer. And on the days in between, well, we're going to turn the cathedral into a map of the Diocese of Chelmsford. Chelmsford Cathedral actually stands more or less at the geographical centre of the diocese, and the diocese stretches from Canning Town to Clacton-on-Sea, from Southend to Saffron Walden, a vast area made up now of unitary authorities, Essex County Council, and of course the East London boroughs. And its spiritual, physical heart, well, that's what the cathedral is called to be. And typically on a map, this was a calculation they did many years ago, the cathedral is only 25 miles, as the crow flies, from anywhere in the diocese. So here we are at the centre, physically and in prayer spiritually, inviting people to pray with us for every place in the Diocese of Chelmsford, as our new bishop comes as a person of prayer on a humble pilgrimage. The cathedral itself will be laid out with prayer stations, and those prayer stations will mirror the diocese in their physical location and in what they say on them. And so there'll be a prayer station for each of the 7 archdeaconries and for each of the 3 bishops' areas. And each day at 12 noon on Facebook, on the cathedral's Facebook page, we will very simply broadcast a prayer for that area of our diocese, for its mission and ministry, for those who lead there and for those who serve, lifting you up to God as we go on this pilgrimage of faith together and praying for Bishop Gully's new ministry among us, above all as a pilgrimage of prayer. People, of course, are welcome to come into the cathedral to look at those prayer stations, and indeed, if you're around at noon, you can come and pray with us, as you can in the mornings and the evenings. Simply visit the New Cathedral website if you want to find out more about our regular life. But at the heart of this, as Gully begins her pilgrimage of prayer, a warm invitation to pray together, whether physically in the same place or virtually online, or simply in the silence of your own heart, as we lift up Gully before God, pray for our diocese, and above all, pray for the whole created order, Thy Kingdom